Hello and welcome to Commodity Champions. I'm Manisha Gupta, and this Commodity Champions we bring to you from out of studios, where we are talking about food processing industry, which has seen a lot of growth in the last couple of years. It has been because of the private investment, also because of the government push, which we have seen come in by the way of PLIs, incentives, and also in sense of subsidies for infrastructure, etc. But what really are the challenges and opportunities is what we are trying to find out from the industry stalwarts. Mr. Hemant Malik, let's start with you since you chair the FICCI Food Processing Committee here. What would you say has been the evolution when it comes to food processing as an industry? What have been the key developments here?
Good morning and thank you, Manisha. And, sharing a session with you after 3 years, and every time I have shared, she's always selected me to ask the first question with giving different reasons.
You're privileged.
Thank you. I think, on behalf of food processing, it is certainly a growth category, considering the size of this country, considering the fact that the amount of organized to unorganized shift that is expected, considering the disposable income growth that is expected in the economy. In the recent past, I would say that COVID has been a big influx point for the industry. Some of the industries got very badly impacted, but I think the food processing, and I think the teams out here all did a phenomenal job by making sure that packaged food was always available. I think it has also caused the interest towards, one is in terms of trust for brands, and therefore the shift from unorganized to organized, and therefore that bodes well for the industry. The second area is in terms of consumers' interest towards health, and therefore a lot of new products that are coming in the health space. I think I can call that disruption, or I can call that innovation. There are a lot of newer companies which have come into the packaged food space trying to create differentiated offers, and even if you walk around, you'll find different kind of biscuits and cookies being developed. And I think that's very fantastic because I think innovation is something that is really going to drive the business, and therefore we really look forward. There are certain aspects on the government support, the PLI schemes, which has happened for both ready to eat and I think millets. So you'll hear a lot of millets going forward. So these are my initial comments. Thank you.
All right. Can I also push you for some numbers here? So what is the total growth that we've seen when it comes to food processing as an industry within India? What are the kind of exports that we're looking at? What do you see in sense of demand coming in forward as well?
See, the numbers on this category, on this industry, sometimes we talk about that only 14% is branded. I see the BCG report, which is now talking about 20%. So there is a growth that is taking place. When you look at FMCG from a Nielsen perspective, I think it is talking about a 10% growth, but largely driven through price, and therefore volumes have not seen that much of growth. We can discuss later in terms of what is it happening and impact of that. Exports is important, but there are some recent some export restrictions that have come about, and therefore that is going to be a little bit of a challenge to see. Having said that, there is a lot of export incentives which is being given for building the brand India. So I expect that is also, should help in driving that.
All right, fair point. Mr. Angshu Mallick, you've had a roller coaster here the last couple of years. When you look at the edible oil prices, the supply chain, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, almost everything that's happened in the international markets has impacted you in some sense or the other. How have the last couple of years been for you, and how do you look at the industry?
Thank you, Manisha. First, I'll speak on edible oil. It has been a roller coaster year in the last 1 year, September, October 21 to now. We have seen the highs which we have not seen in the last, I think, we have never seen that. We have never seen sunflower oil at 2,000, 2,100, 2,400 we had purchased. So that is the type of dollars. Today it is around 1,400. By October, November, it can go up to 1,200. So that means at 2,400 you have purchased, and at 1,200 you will purchase. Almost 50% drop in prices. So this type of unevenness creates a lot of challenges in risk management, and how one handles that is the most important thing. Unless and until the primary processing is very strong, and we have world-class technology and we have world-class plants to showcase, you will never get the tertiary and the secondary processing done better. We as an organization feel we have enough opportunity to work on the primary processing, and we feel the need for such world-class plants in days to come. And I'm sure companies like us, Hemant's ITC and others will surely work on it and bring in the best of class, best of technology, and that is what we are looking at.
Point taken, and of course I'll come back to you with some follow-through questions on that one as well, but let's move on to Swati then. And so much has been talked about during COVID, especially when it came about health and nutrition. People were not just popping pills, but they were looking at some health benefit in every food that they ate. How has that changed the market for you?
I think if you look at nutrition is actually fundamental to health, and every Indian has a right to nutrition. Just you have the right to education, you need to have the right to nutrition, which is coming into play only now. And it's all thanks to the pandemic in a sense. So something that would have taken probably 10 years to happen has got accelerated due to the pandemic. Consumers are far more conscious of health and wellness, and whether this trend will stick and stay is to be watched, because behaviors can easily lapse. So I think that's an important piece to watch out for.
You know, I want to ask this. When we talk about India and various other countries as well, it is said that people, Indians for one, spend max when it comes to health, education and food. Food sensitivity, price sensitivity for that matter, how have you seen that? Because yes, we have fortified atta and we have edible oil which can save your heart, and then you have added vitamins in milk and even more minerals in water. Are people paying for all of that, and what is that category really?
So if you see some of the recent data of the industry, you will see that volumes have not gained that much. So the point that Hemant was talking, the FMCG industry has grown at 10% around that, of which volume in sometimes has been negative, sometimes positive. It's coming back to positive now. You're seeing a lot of inflation, commodity increases, and in the end, everyone has to pay for it. What the interesting part in all of this is that if your brand and product offers value to the consumer will pay for it.
Sustainability and ethnicity is something that we had Rachit talk about in detail, but tell us, Prakash, how is it a fad, or are people also understanding this? Because sustainability has been the buzzword for the last couple of years now, but we do understand that the exact penetration of that is still not up to the mark where you would want it to be.
Yeah, I would agree to that, to the extent that we are just in the beginning phase of this entire sustainable piece that we are speaking about. Today, organizations are really looking sustainability from a manufacturing cost point of view rather than the macro stuff of sustainability. In fact, there are three things that is happening in the current business. One is all the customers, all the brands are looking at how I can make my brand affordable, so that to the point which Swati is making, you know, if a great nutritious product is costing beyond a reach, nobody is going to touch it. At least in our country, it's going to take a bit of a time. So sustainability from that point is more affordability is the priority than sustainability. That's number one. Second, a lot of talk is going about health and so on and so forth. I think consumers today are not looking at, if I take something, I'll get more vitamins and minerals, which is good, but I think if it is less bad, I'm seeing that itself is a very healthy one. I think that's a starting phase. We are in that stage at this point of time. Combine affordability and the health aspect, you also need to bring in a lot of taste experience to it. Good food should taste great.
To Mr. Breakfast then, and it's not just breakfast, it's during the day as well, and as Hemant was also saying that during COVID, even before that for that matter, we have seen a particular growth continuing into this space. People are becoming more health conscious, they're watching out for fiber or minerals or vitamins or something. How has the industry for you grown?
I think the industry is definitely taken off during COVID time, right? I mean, we've seen penetrations grow, which is the most important thing in a category like ours, where you're building habit. So definitely COVID has helped. But I think, like many people have said, and the report said it as well, right? the time is now because of two things. One, higher, awareness of nutrition and nourishment than ever before. But equally, there's a need for convenience that has come in, right? And with that combination, it's really a great time for the food industry or for the breakfast space within that. The interesting thing, just to build on what Prakash said, that you've got to hit the nail on the head because people are not compromising taste when it comes to nutrition. So getting that combination right is always going to be the critical one, and that's where the penny drops in some ways. So a lot of work happening from our side is to get this right combination. And the good thing we can say is, when it comes to the top end of our products and right across our range, in India, we have products which compete with the best that is there out in the world, right? Our top end products could sell anywhere in the world. The question is, do we have the brand image of India as made in India? And do we have the scale in manufacturing and cost, therefore, to actually make that happen? But otherwise, when it comes to, for example, India has the R&D COE for Kellogg in AMEA, the entire AMEA region, which is a great honor for us, but it also tells us that we are right up there in terms of product development, innovation. The next phase is going to be cracking it in terms of manufacturing.
And what is stopping you doing that? And are the things in place? What kind of measures are you looking from at the government? What is the kind of investment that has been done?
I think one is investment is not the constraint at all. I think there are two other things that come into play. One is, can you build a scale business here in India itself? And we are on that journey. The second thing is, how do you build, ecosystems and partnerships? Again, something that came out in the report, and you heard many people talk about it, including the minister. You've got to get an ecosystem starting from farmers, converters, and it would give me as much joy if a converter of, let's say, corn grit could supply to our plant in Japan as it was to a plant in India, because we've got to take their standards of quality up to that level for that to happen. So that's the journey that we have to go on. We spoke about having doing bold steps. I think we need to have a bold vision, but the steps are going to be very foundational, because you've got to almost build some of these converters, the whole ecosystem ground up. And that's what we are really being part of.
Another question to you, and as Angshu Mallick also said, talked about technology, the importance of that. Do you see those establishments, those measures, those incentives here in India?
They're there, but they are not, they're not percolated down to everyone. So the best practices in terms of farming, for example, are not there right across. Our efficiency, we're number one in so many crops, but if you look at efficiency in terms of output per hectare or anything like that, we're probably half the world average. So there's a lot of work to be done, and there are reasons well known for that. So a lot of work to be done in that space, as well as quality, because there will be, for certain organizations, there will be a certain quality standard below which we would not buy. So how do you not only lift up the output, but also the quality of the output? And if you can get that combination, it's a very powerful one, because then there's nothing to stop us from being the food basket of the world in some way.
So, again, this is the last question, then I'll move on really. So this is something we've been talking for years now and decades, and I'm sure Mr. Surajasan, if he's here, he'll agree with me, because we talk about that so much. The concerns, the problems that you just spoke about is something we've been discussing for a decade, couple of decades now. What has changed, would you say, in that much time?
Frankly, I think it's about the partnerships that we are talking about, the private-public partnerships.
That has improved.
Has improved.
Okay.
And I can say that it's getting into more and more sectors, more and more spaces. You're seeing this, taking root. And once the model comes in place, scaling it up is not a problem. So the more we as private players can be part of that journey, the more you'll see this take off.
Well, that is an interesting conversation going on, but we do have to take a mandatory break. Back in a while.